The Catholic Morning Show on Iowa Catholic Radio.
When many folks think about what month serves as the month of Mary, we got a lot of things, of course, to choose from. The month of May comes to mind, also October because of the Rosary. But of course, Marian feasts dot throughout the year of the Church because of her importance, of course, for the Incarnation. But a special case can be made about August, especially with some of the feasts that we've just celebrated and looking forward to celebrate. And today on the show, we are going to speak with Claudia Cangilla McAdam, who is an author who is going to talk about this mini Marian season that we are currently in. Claudia, thank you for coming on the Catholic Morning Show.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be with you.
So for folks who might not be familiar with some of the August Marian feasts, what are the ones that you have in mind?
We've got three feasts that occur in August within a 17-day span. The Church celebrates these observances that highlight Mary's role as Mother of God, her assumption into heavenly glory, and her queenship beside Christ. So that begins with August 5th and the dedication of the Basilica of St. Mary Major, then August 15th with the Assumption, and then a week later on August 22nd with the Queenship of Mary.
So it's easy for me to get you prepared to talk about your new book because this is one of my favorite feasts, and the miracle associated with it is just absolutely gorgeous. If people get the chance to be in Rome when it's celebrated, it's one of my favorite things. But for folks who might not be familiar with the August 5th feast, so what is this about the Basilica of St. Mary Major? Can you fill us in about what this has to say about Mary and why it's so important?
Really, people think, why are we honoring a building on August 5th? And the reason is that this is the oldest and the largest Marian shrine in the world. And so we celebrate it because of that, and it has a very, very interesting origin story. And August 5th commemorates that dedication of the Church, and its story dates back to the 4th century, where, according to legend, in the year 358, a wealthy Roman nobleman and his wife, they had no children, and they wanted to leave their money to the Church, but didn't know exactly the best way to do that. So they prayed to Mary for guidance about what to do with their estate. Then, on the night of August 4th into 5th, in the year 350, and Pope Tiberius reportedly received a vision of Mary, the same vision in which she instructed them to build a church on the site where snow would miraculously fall. Now, can you imagine snow in Rome, August 5th? That was indeed a miraculous event. But that morning, snow was said to have covered part of Rome's Esquiline Hill, a remarkable event in the heat of summer. I'm sure everybody can agree. The Pope had that outline of the church traced, and the Basilica was built there. It was first known as the Liberian Basilica, and then it became more important after the Council of Ephesus in 431, in which Mary was Theotokos, the Mother of God. It was expanded and rebuilt after that council, and St. Mary Major took on much of its present form and became the Church's first great Marian shrine. So that church is also known as Our Lady of the Snows, and as you alluded to, if you're at Mass there on the feast day of August 5th, during the liturgy, they sprinkle white rose petals from the ceiling to replicate that miraculous snowfall.
Well, I have gotten the glorious occasion to go to this basilica. It is masterful to just see in person. I've often thrown out to anybody who's going to Rome, but maybe can only be there for a day, so it's hard to get to all the places. St. Peter's is hard to get into. There's always lines. St. Mary Major, a little bit easier to get into, and just absolutely gorgeous. With that said, not everybody gets a chance to go to Rome. So how do you bring a little bit of St. Mary Major to the listeners, to the folks here in the United States? And I think you've done so with the book, The Miracle of the August Snow for Children. So what inspired you with that miraculous story to present it in a children's book?
I wanted kids and their parents who don't know about this story to be able to enter into it in a way that they could actually be present, so to speak, in the story. So my book is a chapter book, about 70 pages for kids in early elementary school and their families to share the story. And it follows twin boys who live and work in the villa that this wealthy couple owns. And they are just like any other modern-day kids. They have the neighbor boys next door who pick on them, and the two brothers into a tussle, and they have an argument, and they go to bed on the night of August 4th, not speaking to each other. And then when they hear about this miraculous snowfall on the morning of August 5th, they get up and they want to go and help mark out the place where the snow fell. And so they join together and they do Mary's will by resolving their conflict and going out and marking this miraculous snowfall. So it's a way, it's historical fiction, a way to present a historical occurrence in a fictionalized way with fictional characters and historical characters that interact.
Well, Claudia Cangilla McAdam obviously is on fire with the brilliance of this feast. You can be a part of spreading the glory and wonder of this feast by picking up her book. It is a children's chapter book, The Miracle of the August Snow. But we're speaking to her today about how this forms a mini Marian set of feasts in August. So let's go ahead and talk about the other two as well, maybe slightly more well-known, but for people who don't know either the Assumption or the Feast of Mary's Queenship. What can they expect from those feasts?
Well, the Assumption, as we know, is the belief that the earthly life, Mary was taking body and soul into heavenly glory, and that doctrine was formally defined in 1950. But Christians had been celebrating that mystery for many centuries before that. And notably, the Church has never definitively said whether Mary died before being assumed or whether she was taken into heaven without undergoing death. Both views have existed in Catholic tradition, and both are accepted. So that observance in the Christian East, where it first came up, was known as the Dormition, the falling asleep of Mary. But by the 5th and 6th centuries, Christians were commemorating her passing from earthly life. And by the 7th century, the celebration had spread throughout the Christian world. And why the Assumption matters to us is that it teaches several important truths. First of all, that Christ's victory over death extends to all humanity, and that Mary shares fully in the resurrection won by her Son, and that the human body is destined for glory. And she is the sign of the future resurrection promised to all believers. So it's a great hope for us to remember her in the Assumption.
Well, sorry, I was going to say Mary of the Snows, and then the Assumption, and then we finish out this mini Marian month with the Queenship of Mary. So go ahead and talk about that.
And I love this because people say, Mary, why is she called the Queen? She was not married to Jesus, the King. Why is she the Queen? And I love it because we can go back to the Bible. We have a biblical foundation of why we call her the Queen. The title comes from understanding her relationship to Christ. And in the ancient Davidic kingdom, the king's mother held a special position as the queen mother, the Geburah. The king could have many wives, so who would be the queen? Well, it was always his mother. In the Bible, particularly in 1st and 2nd Kings, nearly every Davidic king is introduced not only by the name of his father, but also by the name of his mother. And just like Our Lady does for us today, the biblical Queen Mother served as an honored intercessor for her people. So Catholics see this fulfilled in Mary because Jesus is the Messiah, the heir to David's throne, the king. Mary is his mother. Therefore, she shares uniquely in his royal dignity.
Well, if we are able to enter into this season, these three Marian feasts, St. Mary of the Snows, the Assumption, and her Queenship, quite a way for you, the listener, to really embody a way to put Mary at the center of our devotional calendar here in the middle of summer. And we had a chance to talk to Claudia Cangilla McAdam, who is the author of the new children's chapter book, The Miracle of the August Snow, in order to really imbibe that. Wonderful stuff. I'm hoping that everybody who got a chance to listen will have a new appreciation of the Marian character of August. Claudia, thank you so much for coming on the Catholic Morning Show.
Thank you so much, too, for having me. And that book is available at Our Sunday Visitor, orderosb.com at 50% off through August.
Absolutely wonderful. We appreciate you. Thanks for coming on the show.
Listen to the Catholic Morning Show weekdays at 7 a.m. Central on the Iowa Catholic Radio Network, iowacatholicradio.com, or the Iowa Catholic Radio app.
What legacy would you like to leave? As part of the Legacy Society, your gift supports the future of the Iowa Catholic Radio Network. By participating in the planned giving process, you can be assured that when you leave this earth, your charitable gift will continue to support this apostolate and its mission of connecting people to Christ. If you're interested in including Iowa Catholic Radio as part of your charitable gift planning, call me, Belle Marasco, at 515-223-1150. Thank you for your prayerful support.